Okay, it's May 4th, 2023. This is a meeting of the Capital Improvement Committee. First order of business is Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Everybody got a copy of the minutes from the last meeting on Thursday, February 6th, 6 o'clock. Who was in? John, you were here, and Rich was here. George
I had to
was
run the meeting.
Came at the last.
Yep, that was me and George were absent.
A lot of people tonight.
Does anybody want to make a motion to accept the minutes of the meeting?
Sure.
All right,
Second.
seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all right. All right, fiscal 2024 capital projects. The first capital project we're going to discuss is the Carpenter Pond Dam. Engineering design, 90% complete, EEA approved. The design, is that Perry? Para engineering submitted an application in the amount of $400,000 for the dam removal. Demolition will begin in fiscal year 2024. All right, we do have, is this the attachment for this?
The amendment, it says at the top, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
John, can you give us a kind of a brief?
So this is a grant-funded project, and it started off with the engineering side of it to mitigate and remove the dam on Carpenter Pond Road.
Yep.
That was on the capital improvement project, and now we going forward with the design to apply for a construction or deconstruction funding through source of funding would be EEA grant funding. It would be 100% covered with matching funds accomplished by in-kind work. So our highway department would work on it, and that would could be considered matching
Now,
funds.
didn't we already approve a portion of this, the engineering part of it?
Yeah, this has already gone forward for engineering. This next step is for
Just for the application?
for the deconstruction of it. We're gonna, yeah, it's for the application and the grant funding to remove the dam.
Okay. And this is not gonna be required on this is not gonna be on your warrant, is it?
No.
Not necessarily. Rich?
Through you. So we're deconstructing a dam, the town owns several, and you say,
It's by order of priority.
order of priority, what happens with the stormwater?
That's why we spent all this money on the engineering, because it's gonna be done in a certain manner. You know, the bankings would be designed and gone back and fortified in a certain manner, so the engineering's been done on that. It's not gonna just be.
Right.
And it's not just the highway department. The highway department is gonna assist the construction company and so forth that provide additional help for in-kind matching funds. It would generally be taking debris away, or bringing material in, that sort of thing. But it's all, it has an engineering design behind it.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I could, one step back, the town of Dudley took possession of these a zillion years ago, and they are now the town's liability, for lack of a...
Correct.
And they were there for a purpose that no longer exists, and this is the best way to make sure that they are taken care of. If you breach a dam, you're still, the water is going to do what it did while the dam was there. There's some additional work being done to make sure that the water doesn't pool in this area, and whatever remediation is
Right.
suggested. Okay. And-
There's not gonna be, I mean, this is done under a pre-engineered design according to a plan. It's not just us slamming down there with a couple of loaders and taking it out. It's.
Okay. So we're fixing an heirloom issue. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions? So are we just adding this to the 5-year capital plan? Is that what you're asking for?
It looks like it's gonna start, if we're successful, we could begin remediation at fiscal year 24.
Right, but you wanna update the capital plan?
Correct.
Is that what you're asking?
That's what I'm asking for, and there are individual motions on the sheet you have, Mr. Chairman. so that we can have individual motions vote on each individual project. Yep, under number 1 suggested motion.
Okay.
So each one is gonna be done separately.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does everybody have one of these? Can it help us
Yeah.
out when we make the motions? Does
I'll-
anybody want to make that first motion?
I'll make the first motion that we include the first part of this Chapter 90 project for Carpenter Pond Dam for the 2024 capital.
Amount?
Yep.
Do you want to add an amount?
For $400,000.
Anybody want to second that?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on adding that to the capital plan?
Clear cut.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, so that's done. All right, now there's the rail trail. Paving the rail trail through the Mass Trails, it's a grant, $500,000. Which trail are you talking about here? We got a bunch of them, right?
The actual trails that are designated as rail trails, it used to be previously used to be a railway.
Down here, by your house?
That's near the pump, it comes out near the pump station down on Schofield, and it goes across and
Oh, so it's that one, it's not the one down near my house, down.
101 off of,
it does
Rockland
actually connect with Southbridge, it goes all over town.
On
It's
the
a-
email, it says Quinnebog Rail Trail west section from Dudley Southbridge Town Line to the state line at Thompson, Connecticut. The trail parallels the Quinnebog River on the northerly side of the river,
Oh, yeah, so
2.7
it is-
okay,
miles.
so it is all the way out.
And then
to-
it's the Quinnebog Rail Trail east section from the French River, Webster Town, Dudley Town Line to the state line at Thompson, Connecticut, 1.2 miles. Looks like total of 3.9 miles. Will comply with the paving specifications of Mass DOT for shared use paths and greenways, which include 4 inches of asphalt, 8 to 12 inches of aggregate or stabilized base.
And so that would be 100% grant funded.
Who would do the work for this?
When the grant was awarded, we go out to bid. Or we could also reserve the right to self-perform it, but, or do it under our current contract with materials purchasing.
So you want to add this again to the capital plan?
I'd like to add that to the
This
capital.
is not, no warrant article for this either, right?
No.
Okay, does anybody have any questions?
No, it's pretty clear cut too.
Okay, well, I should have called for a motion. Does anyone want to make a motion on this?
I'll make a motion for the funding for 2024 capital, $500,000 for Mass Trails for the paving of the rail trail.
Okay. Are you second it off? Second. We get a second? Any further discussion on the rail trail? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. EV charging station at the Dudley, what is this, Dudley?
I'm actually gonna ask that we skip that one for now. I don't have, that's another one that's proposed to be 100% covered between CMRPC and National Grid incentives, but I don't have the final figure, so we could skip it for now if we needed to, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Skip that one. Okay, Brandon Row Mill Race Bridge Project.
Having already done the engineering associated with the requirements to replace that bridge and to demolish it, we're proposing to use $148,500 funded by Chapter 90 to take the bridge down and then move and continue to move forward to get onto the state bridge program to get it fully funded and replaced. But I think that if we show progress and we use Chapter 90 funds to do the demolition, that would go a long way in goodwill throughout the community, because there's a lot of outcry about that bridge and people want it.
You want that in 2024?
In 24 to demolish it, yes.
Is that contracted out, John, or is that any,
It's gonna be contracted out. Well, I mean, we'll help where we can, but it's gonna be contracted out. I have the sufficient machinery to do that.
When do you anticipate this being done?
Late spring, it could start.
And you don't know, but you don't know who's gonna do this yet?
We have pre-selected contracts for machinery, materials, that sort of thing, so I don't know yet. We could bring in, we could possibly bring in Andrew Levitch for some of his heavy equipment, to pay him by the day, to take some of the bigger pieces down for us. But we had a meeting out there, and a bid was put out, people responded to it, so we'll know for certain who's gonna perform the work.
So the bids have been put out?
Correct.
Okay, all right.
And we've had respondents, and they've been opened, so we know this is a good number.
Okay. Anybody wanna make a motion on this?
I'll make the motion to perform the necessary work for the mill race project, 2024 capital improvement for the sum of $500,000 funded by Chapter 90.
Second.
Oh, my glasses.
Second, do we have any discussion on this?
So if it's chapter 90, Mr. Chairman, through you,
Yep.
to the town administrator, so this is going to be approved by the CIP and put in to Mass Highway for their approval.
Correct.
So this is step one of,
I believe he's already put in for it as well, and received like a pre-approval on it.
thank you.
Do we need to meet once these bids come in? I believe we do, right? Pick one of these bids?
I don't know the successful bidder off the top of my
But I mean, when you do get one, or you get a couple in?
We've already opened the bids, and this is the bid awarded by price. This was the best bid of all of them.
And who was this?
That's what I can't remember. I can't remember the name of who got the bid.
Pasquazzi Brothers.
Was it?
Pasquazzi Brothers. out of
Pasquazzi?
Rhode Island.
Yeah. So there was a competitive bid, and they were low bid, so they got the work.
Any other questions? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. This, same thing here, number 5?
Number 5 is feasibility. Does it not say it on your copy?
No, I get,
No, it looked like it was part of the same project,
looks
so
like the
that might,
same project as the Brandon.
we thought that was part of that.
Number 4 was.
Yeah, that should have been, that was just a,
Scrivener's error.
So scribble out the 148.5, that's for,
Okay.
okay, so now it's,
the next
So
one.
now-
so do I need to change my motion then on the?
I don't-
on that?
no, I
Because the
think-
amount was put in, but that's for the second.
That's the correct amount, right?
Number 4, I can't, it looked like it was part of number 5, so I think we may have to redo number 4. It wasn't, that's not the amount for that. I was just-
148,500 is what you said, I thought.
Yeah, I did say that, but is that part of that? Is
That's
that
part of it.
Okay,
It
all
was
right,
Same
the
thing.
Brandon Road Mill Race.
Then that's
Race
fine.
Project was the heading, it should have. not
okay,
had
then that's fine.
All right, number 6, we have the master plan approved, $100,000.
Master plan,
What is this?
so we've had the Recreation Commission reassemble and go through several meetings. And we've also had the Master Planning Committee meeting so that we can bring everything necessary forward to update our master plan. And by updating our master plan, which hasn't been updated since, I think, 2006, we now
So we
become
actually have
eligible
one.
for all kinds of grants, including like parks and recreation grants for the playground and that sort of thing. So Bill Scanlon is submitting an application for $100,000 in grant funding to cover the cost of the master plan, to update it for the town. It would be 100% covered if he's successful. It's a pending grant right now.
Pending successful grant then. All right, anybody want to make a motion on this one?
Okay, so I move that the update, the plan project be added to the capital improvement plan for FY 2024, amount of $100,000, with the source of funding identified as application for grant funding through Department of Housing and Community Development Community Planning Fund.
Thank you. Any second for that?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Any more discussion on this? None? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, getting there. Okay, feasibility study for behind the courthouse, Route 197, funded by the Mass Development? Is that the name of their?
Mass Development is the name of it.
$50,000. So what do you want to do up there?
We want to study the town-owned land, and we want to complete the study for suitable use for that and move forward with an economic development proposal.
So up to $50,000 you're gonna be able to spend on it?
It's $50,000. We've been awarded the grant, so.
We've been awarded the grant?
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions?
So-
What do you want to make a motion first?
Just, I'm not a voting member, so
Well, you had, looked like you had something to say, so.
I always have something to say. We can be here till 11:30, so.
Please, no.
Why don't we get a motion on the table here, then we can just, if there's anybody got any discussion on this, we'll discuss it. Anybody want to make this motion?
I didn't want the motion to read. I don't have this page.
Different copies.
I move that the feasibility study be added to the capital improvement plan for fiscal year 2024 in the amount of $50,000 with the source of funding identified as Mass Development Grant Funds.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on this?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Rich.
So this is a tax title property. So I'm correct in assuming the town retains possession of it, the $50,000 grant. One of the conditions of the grant is the town, to ensure that the town does not sell it.
Sell it from out underneath the grant, people would.
Right, so the idea is that
Yeah.
we want to optimize, the town wants to optimize the use of the parcel.
And the Board of Selectmen actually voted on that, saying that while with studies ongoing, we're not gonna sell it,
Sell
do
it.
anything with it until we get the results of the study back.
When's this gonna be completed?
Probably, it may actually be ready before 24,
Okay.
because they're moving forward already, so.
Okay. Any other questions on this one? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. What else we got here? Airport Road, funded by Shared Streets and Spaces, grant funded for 176,894.15. So what are we doing on Airport Road?
We're looking at the intersection where the golf course is, trying to put better traffic controls into that intersection. There's a lot of, we studied the traffic flow and so forth, there's a lot of accidents in that area, and this would propose to add some pedestrian crosswalks, some sidewalks, and to change the layout slightly in that intersection. Make it a little more driver friendly. It's a big wide open space and it turns into the Wild West at certain points during the day.
Potential streetlights and stuff like that, is it?
Well, sidewalks, pedestrian crossings, better signage, and they're gonna probably shrink the size of the intersection so that it's about 4 lanes wide on the Dudley Hill side, if you think about it. It needs to be re-engineered and made a little bit.
So the 176 is to cover the cost of this, it's not just a
Correct.
study, right?
No, this is to cover the cost of it. This is gonna marry onto a complete streets grant down the road
Okay,
upon a furnace.
all right.
See, something like the Mason Road,
Yeah.
something similar to that.
Okay. This wouldn't involve like trying to put a sidewalk in from parking shop all the way down that way, would it?
No, there's not enough money, even close to enough money for that.
Okay.
You might get up towards Nichols on Can Yard a little bit, and moving up towards the 55 with all the community.
Okay. All right, does, anybody have a motion on this you wanna make?
Make a motion that we fund the airport road project shared by, for shared streets and spaces for the capital improvement projects for 2024 for the sum of 176,894.15.
Is there a second on that?
Second.
Any more discussion on this at all? Seeing none, we'll call vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, number 9. Okay, First Ave, improvement project paving, funded by HUD through the Mass Department of Housing and Community Development and through a fiscal year 2021 Community Development Block Grant for $558,500, the entire project. Bid is opening yesterday?
Bid opening was yesterday.
Okay. And you just want to add this
We
to the
came
capital
in-
plan, is that what you're doing, or?
We want to add that to the capital plan. This kind of marries into some work that's being done. George could probably speak to that.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're doing a water main project down there.
Yeah.
And we're gonna be probably starting that sometime later this summer if everything goes right. And that'll be connecting up into our other main going up for the Fairview Ave water main
For the
project, yeah.
Bringing
Yeah.
the water up
Should
to,
work out nice, so we'll have a nice,
okay, and this is all grant funded?
Street is already going to be torn up, and this grant will help put it back. It's going to be a 2-step. This will help put it back into proper condition.
All right, does anybody want to make a motion on this?
I'll make the motion for the First Ave improvement project to be added to the 2024 capital improvement project for the sum of 558.500.
Second.
Again, that's 100% grant funded.
Before we go forward on that, since this is going to be your department, right?
Well,
No,
no,
this is highway.
Well, it was a grant through the town and us, we all worked together on it to get it,
I just
yeah,
don't
so
want
it's
you to-
really should, yeah, no, it's not,
Motion on your own
yeah.
stuff. Okay, so, do we have, you had a second?
Mm-hmm.
On that? All right, any discussion on this? No, no discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye? All right. Now we're gonna go on to, what do you got here, John, here?
This is going to be an article on the May warrant for the ongoing mitigation project around the PFAS and so forth around the cap landfill and the systems that are being installed on Eagle Drive. With the water filtration system, both Gentex and the town of Dudley are under a response action.
So what do you, I'm not understanding what you're asking here.
This is the funding required for FY '24 to meet the requirements of DEP to mitigate all the private wells on Eagle Drive in conjunction with Gentex.
So all I have here is ongoing regulatory compliance mitigation, response for immediate response, action issued by DEP. So what are you asking for?
That covers the cost of the installation of POET systems. There's a cost breakdown.
These treatment systems that I put in the houses that the town has to do per the state. mitigate the situation for the time being, and later on, they'll be looking at putting a water main in
I
there.
think it's this, isn't it?
So here's what it includes, there's a spreadsheet in the,
It's,
Might wanna just, might wanna wait till next meeting, give us some time.
you could do that, Mr. Chairman, if you wanted to stop here, because we're at a hard stop at 6:30 anyways.
You wanna stop and do this
Take
later?
it back up on Monday, it's already on the agenda.
Oh, okay.
CIC is already on.
Alright, so we're through number 9 then,
Yeah,
right?
so my recommendation for tonight would be to ask we could either wait for Monday to have the vote and ask the chair of the board to hold off on that vote. It's on the agenda for tonight.
Alright, so we can remove,
Or we could just, my advice is let's just wait till Monday and we'll finish it and go through the whole
so
stuff.
do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting until Monday?
Make a motion, we adjourn the meeting to reconvene on Monday.
Second. Alright, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Alright, we'll convene on Monday then.
Thank you.